right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon stream. We do this every day, Monday through Friday at high noon, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is the first of two streams that we do each and every day here at the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We do this one, high noon, 12 p.m., as the name might suggest. And then we come back and we do something called Pillow Talk. That's from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., also Central Standard Time. And that one is a bit more conversational. That one's me and James Parker. It's Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. More of a just two guys sitting around talking. This show here, this serves a purpose. This is designed for you. This show here is designed so that I can give you all of the things that are trending, all the hot topics, the current events, the headlines, whatever it is that's happening in the world right now. I'm going to give it to you in a neat-to-eat little bite-sized stream. There you go. I ran out of words to say there. Okay, first, full disclosure. My God. Okay, so if you were listening to the Pillow Talk show last night, what the heck is this? If you were listening to the Pillow Talk show last night, you remember me saying, I didn't feel good. I do not feel good. I had the worst. You guys, between midnight last night and 5 a.m., I was legit sick. I was so sick that it was, some of you may remember when we went through the COVID booster shot situation together. I got my COVID booster shot and it made me so sick. Now, I'm not saying that last night between midnight and 5 a.m. I was that sick, but I was approaching it. No idea what the hell happened to me. No, I don't know what this was. And here's why. Because I feel okay. Like right now, like I woke up and I feel, I don't feel okay. I feel probably 65%, but I was feeling last night, 3 a.m., I was at like 15%. Give me an idea of how rough it was for me last night. First of all, I don't know where my thermometer is. I got to go out and I got to get another thermometer. I had this damn thermometer for 10 years. I'm so proud of the fact that I've had the same thermometer for 10 years. I always know where it is. Now I don't know where it is. Last time I used it was after the damn COVID booster shot that I got. And now I can't find it anywhere. So I got to go get a thermometer because I definitely had a fever last night. 100 degrees outside, right? I mean, even at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning around these parts, we do the show here from North Texas. I was just going to say we're just outside Dallas, but we're not. We're actually in Dallas. The HP, if you will. So last night, it's like, it's like 90 degrees at like 3 a.m. I had no air conditioning last night. I turned my air conditioning off. I had the shivers. I had like 5 different blankets on me. And then I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning after a really rough night's sleep, the sick night's sleep, where like I also had to like go to the bathroom a bunch of times. And I think that's because I drank a lot of water yesterday. You gotta hydrate, folks. In this dangerously hot weather we have here, you must hydrate. Although you will pay the price at 2 a.m. when you have to wake up and start to, I had that thing where I needed to go to the bathroom and I couldn't fall back asleep until I went to the bathroom, but I didn't want to get out from under the covers because I was like, freezing, like, it was a nightmare night last night. I almost didn't do a show today, but I thought to myself, you know what, I'd walk into the next room. I'm fine. Even though I don't feel 100%. And this is so weird because this is completely unrelated to what I had last week. What I had last week is regular. What I had last week were allergies. I know what those are. I can handle those. I know how many days they're going to like knock me on my ass for, and I can navigate that. This nonsense, this came out of nowhere. And I think it's my kid who gave it. I think my kid gave me something. And I don't know where he got it, but he was sick on Saturday evening. Of this, just for like 12 hours, he was sick. He had the exact same thing. He had the chills. He wasn't feeling good. That's when I discovered I couldn't find my thermometer. So I think he gave me something. And I think whatever it is, hopefully it was just like a little 24-hour kind of a deal because, like I said, I feel about 65% right now. We're dangling right here. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how this is going to break. Is this going to break? Am I going to 4 o'clock this afternoon? I'm going to feel like crap again because I started to feel really sick the later the day went yesterday. So anyway, so that's it. That's full disclosure for you here. And along those lines, I probably, just looking at what I was able to put together here, probably won't be doing like a full 2 hours plus show. We'll probably get to, we'll definitely we'll do an hour plus, but we'll see. We'll play it by ear. We'll see how I'm feeling. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me here. I don't know what this. It's not, flash COVID, right? What is, it's not COVID because it has nothing to do with my lungs. It has nothing to do with my breathing. I think I just got like a weird air conditioning induced short flu. Maybe, because it's so weird around here this time of year, and around here, I mean Texas, because it gets so ridiculously hot, but you never actually experience the heat. Very rarely do you actually experience the heat. If you're me, I mean, look, if you're a guy out there on the tollway, moving a tollway sign, standing there in your orange jacket, your orange vest, yeah, that sucks. But like for me, I'm inside almost all the time. I mean, if it's 104 degrees outside, and I'm not saying that's what it is today. I don't even know what it is today. Let's see. What are we looking at today? What are we looking at right now? All right. That's 99 degrees. All right. Right now at 12:11 in Highland Park, Texas, it is 99 degrees. That's hot. That's still hot. We'll probably get up over, what are we supposed to be? We're going to be like 102, 103 today, whatever. Okay. So when that's what's happening on the outside, it's no different than, when I lived in the Midwest, when I grew up in the Midwest, when it is like 30 below zero wind chill factor, you don't go outside. You walk to the car. That's pretty much it. It's kind of the same way it is around here. I walk to my car. I put the air conditioning on in the car. So I don't really, but I'm wondering if it's just the constant exposure to the air conditioning where I've told you about the air conditioning in this place. It's like built for a stadium. It's like I'm in a guest house, but the air conditioning unit in this, and nobody is going to complain about that in Texas. Nobody's going to complain about how their air conditioning works way too well in Texas in the summertime. But it is ridiculously cold, and it is hard to. It's like my kid calls it a meat locker in here. It is hard to sort of regulate it because you got to turn the air off, and then it gets hot, and you got to turn it back on, and then it instantly gets freezing. All right, so that's where we are today. So bear with me. We're gonna do a show. We're gonna get through this, and like I said, I'm at 65%. We'll see how that changes. I gotta wash my sheets again today. 5 o'clock in the morning, my sheets were just soaked. How is that? How is it that I am sweating under the covers? I've got a comforter. I had 2 blankets and a comforter. And I'm underneath that, no air conditioning. It's like 90-something degrees outside. It's probably 90-something degrees in the house. I'm under all of these blankets, and yet I'm freezing. I'm under the blankets because I'm freezing, because I'm shivering, and yet at the same time, I'm sweating. Like my bed is just, it's so gross. Is there anything worse than sheets that have been like sweated on? Ugh. 6 o'clock this morning, I got, it was, I guess, more like 5:30, something like that. I got up and I went to the bathroom, and I went back into the bed, and I went to lay down in the bed, and the sheets were like all wet. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. So I just slept on a towel. I went and got a towel. I put the towel down. I'm like, it's 5:30 in the morning. I am not going to change out the sheets. So that was my night. But I'm here now, and let's get into what today is, because what the High Noon Show tries to do is give you absolutely everything that today is about. Whatever is happening in the world today, I try and bring it to you in little bite-sized morsels, and then we all know together what essentially is happening in the world on this very day. What day is it? Well, it is the 23rd day of June, year of our Lord, 2022. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to my mom. You would have no streams here at High Noon if my mom wasn't born on this day. So how about a round of applause for my mom? Happy birthday to my mom. June 23rd is the 174th day of the year. 191 days remain until the end of the year. Let's jump on to the National Day of calendar, which I still haven't made up my mind whether or not we're going to stop doing this portion of the show, but whatever. It's my mom's birthday. I didn't want to stop it on my mom's birthday on the off chance that maybe she's interested in this stuff. Not that she might be listening. I don't know. June 23rd is National Detroit Style Pizza Day. Okay, so everyone knows that I'm a pizza snob. Would it surprise you to learn that I don't hate Detroit style pizza? I think Detroit does fine. Now, coast to coast, the version of Detroit style pizza that we all know is Domino's and Little Caesars. Domino's, Little Caesars, Detroit style pizza, and they're basically trash. Those are basically trash pizzas. But if you get actual really you go to Detroit and you get like a real like pretty good. It's pretty good. What makes Detroit pizza Detroit pizza? The crust. The crust is a little bit different. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit flakier, a little bit more of like a of an air crust, and it's square. Detroit, much of the time, Detroit style pizza is a square pizza as opposed to the rest of the places which are around. All right, here we go. Pizza draft. What are we gonna do? All right, so we got to draft the best pizzas in America. Well, okay. With the first pick in the pizza draft, the show from High Noon is going to be selecting. Did you have any doubts? Chicago style tavern pizza. That's right. Thin, super thin crust, super thin, crunchy crust, like a cracker almost when you bite and it like cracks. Ah, delicious. That's number one. Number two, St. Louis style pizza. That's right. Ah, that's right. Well, you know, I would have never thought St. Louis style pizza was good, but I married a woman from St. Louis, and then I ended up getting, an education in what St. Louis style pizza is. And it's pretty good. And here's why St. Louis style pizza is pretty good. Because it's basically Chicago tavern style pizza. It's the same thing. They just use a little bit different cheese. They use a type of cheese called Provel, which I believe is a mixture of provolone and mozzarella. And it's really good. Look, folks in St. Louis, they came up with a very good cheese combination. So credit to them. Third in the pizza draft from around the country, let's go with Detroit. Why not? It's Detroit Pizza Day. I'm not a big fan of the Domino's or the Little Caesars, but I have had other varieties of Detroit style pizza that was pretty good. I'm like, man, this stuff is pretty good. All right, so Chicago tavern style, which is the thin. Don't come at me with the tourist deep dish. That's not nobody in Chicago eats that. We eat that like once a year when we have cousins come in from Ohio, and they're like, "We want the deep dish." It's like, okay, well, nobody here in Chicago actually eats that deep dish, but go ahead, we'll get it for you people, and it's good sometimes. Stuffed pizza comes in at number 4. Okay, now that is not the Chicago style, thick crust. Stuffed pizza is a different kind of pizza. Stuffed pizza is where it's almost like a casserole where it's pushed inside. The pizza is actually stuffed and the sauce goes on the very top and the cheese is inside the stuffed pizza. And number 5 in the best pizza draft in America. Can't do it. There's only 4. I can't do it. I can't give that greasy, disgusting, giant New York pizza is freaking gross, man. It's the New York style pizza. Shut up. Your pizza is gross, man. Your pizza, if you took a piece of New York style pizza and you like just put a napkin on it, that napkin would be soaking wet from all the oh my, I hate New York style. So there you go. Number 1, number 2, St. Louis style pizza, namely Emo's. You ever find yourself in St. Louis, get yourself an Emo's pizza. It's fantastic. Number 3, Detroit style pizza, because it's Detroit Pizza Day. And number 4, stuffed pizza. Stuffed pizza is so good. I love me some stuffed pizza. And again, there is no 5 because I refuse to put New York style pizza in there. Let's see here. I mean, there are other kinds of pizza. Like there's like New Haven style pizza, which is Connecticut type of pizza, which is, from what I understand, just basically thin crust tavern style. But whatever. It's slightly different from New York style pizza. New Haven, Connecticut's right there outside New York. So, but I've never had it. I've never had New Haven style pizza, so I don't know. It's also National Hydration Day. Well, yeah, you better drink up. Drink up. Well, where's the temperature now? We were at 99, and now we're at 100. Look at that. Drink up. Drink up. Drink copious amounts of water. It's live during these crazy summer months, especially here if you're in the desert Southwest. Let's see. June 23rd is also National Pecan Sandies Day. Those are gross cookies. We're not going to spend any more time on pecan sandies. Those are gross cookies. Pecans are gross. We got this glorious pecan tree in our backyard. It's fantastic, but pecans suck. It's National Pink Day. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. You know what? I don't really have anything the color pink. Actually, that's not true. I do have something that some people call the color pink. It's a shirt, but because I'm a heterosexual man, it's pink. It's salmon. There is a difference, and I have a salmon-colored dress shirt. Yes, I do, and occasionally I will wear it. Pink. So let's just the musical artist. There you go. That's what I'll do. Let's go to history of today. Let's see what happened on this day in June 23rd, because some very big things happened on this day, not the least of which was the birth of my mother. On this day in 1917, in a game against the Washington Senators, Boston Red Sox pitcher Ernie Shore retires 26 batters in a row after replacing Babe Ruth, who had been ejected for punching the umpire. Now, there's a couple of things we could talk about with this little blurb, but Babe Ruth punched an umpire and then was allowed to just continue being Babe Ruth. I'm telling you, you think it's lawless today? It was lawless back then. Nobody knew anything was happening. Nobody knew that Babe Ruth punched an umpire, except for the people that were there. There was no outcry. There was no, that's bad for the children. There was none of that, It's just, but then Ernie Shore comes in and he retires 26 consecutive batters. So okay. So a perfect game in baseball is 27 up, 27 down. There are 3 outs per inning in a 9-inning game. So 9 times 3 is 27, right? So if you were to throw a perfect game as a pitcher in baseball, you would sit down 27 consecutive people without getting hits, without getting on base, without scoring a run. That's 27 up, 27 down. This dude, Ernie Shore, replaced Babe Ruth and then knocked out 26 consecutive batters. Did Babe Ruth lose his shit on the first batter? It's got to be the first bat. Babe Ruth started the game, didn't like a call, punched the umpire, got ejected with no outs, or maybe 1 out. Would that be 20? Yeah, probably 1 out. Wait a second, 26 consecutive. Well, I guess I don't know the how this game, like, was it extra innings? I don't know. Anyway, that's what happened on this day. Little baseball fun fact. On this day in 1942, World War II, Germany's latest fighter aircraft, a Focke-Wulf FW-190, is captured intact when it mistakenly lands at a Royal Air Force base in Wales. Oh, imagine that. Man, you got this, like, because it's 1942, so it's the height of technology. You've got this brand new, like, fighter plane. You're in the middle of World War II. You're flying around there. Your boss Hitler's, like, taking over huge groups of land. You don't know where you are. You have no guidance. You have no satellite. There's nothing telling you where. And you look down and you're like, we need to land. Hey, I think that base down there is. And you just land at it. And then you get on the ground and you're like, oh, shit, this ain't one of ours. On this day in 1960, the United States Food and Drug Administration declares that Enovid to be the first officially approved combined oral contraceptive pill in the world. The pill. So on this day, the FDA, back in 1960. Yeah, there you go. On this day in 1960, the pill was approved for general consumption by the FDA. On this day in 1972, in the Watergate scandal, I have sort of, in the last couple of weeks, rekindled my interest in the Watergate situation, primarily because of the Julia Roberts show, Gaslit, which is Sean Penn and Julia Roberts as Attorney General Mitchell and his wife, Martha Mitchell, who were major players in the whole Watergate. Such a good series. You get a chance to see Gaslit. It is so good. I keep saying they're just gonna. Sean Penn and Julia Roberts are gonna have to bring a wheelbarrow to the Emmys, because they are gonna win so many things for this portrayal in Gaslit. It's so good. So I've been sort of re-engaging with what I know and what I think and what my perceptions are concerning the Watergate scandal. And it's like, it's so funny. By today's standards, I'm looking at all these Watergate things and I'm like, yeah, you could totally get away with that today. Now you could totally. Well, you know what he would say? Here's what would happen. They would say, "Hey, Mr. President, turn over the tapes," and the president would just go, "No," and that would be the end of it. That would be the end. But back then, there was like some sort of adherence to rules and other things. You could. Well, I'm going to say no. Now what's going to happen? Well, because of our justice system here in America, you said no, so it'll be 15 years before we resolve this, and you'll probably be dead. But it's so silly. Watergate thing is just such nonsense when you just sort of put it next to all of the stuff that we have seen, not just in the past 6 or 7 years, but over the past like 20 years of American politics. It's a slippery slope, people. But on this day in the Watergate scandal, U.S. President Richard M. Nixon and White House Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman are taped talking about illegally using the Central Intelligence Agency to obstruct the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI's investigation into the Watergate break-in. So on this day, there was tape of a conversation in the Oval Office between President Richard Nixon telling his chief of staff, discussing with this chief of staff, and don't want to position it wrong, discussing the Watergate break-in, and there was some conversation about whether or not they could use the Central Intelligence Agency to kind of throw the FBI off the scent. Ooh, that is nothing by today's standards. We've just been listening 3 days, the President of the United States trying to strong arm the Secretary of States of Arizona and Georgia into making up fake votes. I mean, are you kidding me? Again, that's today, which is 1,000 times worse than this conversation that took place. They didn't even do it. I mean, it's not even like, yeah, here's how we got the CIA to throw the FBI off the scent. No, they were just talking about it, and that was enough. You had to go. No, it's so silly. On this day, also in 1972, Title IX of the United States Civil Rights Act of 1964 is amended to prohibit sexual discrimination to any educational program receiving federal funds. So what is Title IX? So what that means is that if you're a college and you receive federal funds, male sports and fees, you offer, stuff. So, because you're a young female athlete, and you wanted basically what this meant was that colleges were now encouraged to create programs for women to participate in sports. Title IX, 1970. On this day in 1991, Sonic the Hedgehog is released in North America. 1991. I don't think I ever really thought that Sonic the Hedgehog was that old. I would have put Sonic the Hedgehog in like the early 2000s, but what do I know? I know this. My kid, when he was very little, loved Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog used to just sit there and play Sonic the Hedgehog. He's like 4 or 5 years old. Just that's all he would do. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog. So happy birthday, Sonic. On this day in 1991, you were unleashed to the general public. On this day in 2016, the United Kingdom votes in a referendum to leave the European Union by 52 to 48%. The Brexit. Boy, I'll tell you, that was some foreshadowing from our cousins across the Atlantic, huh? I remember when Brexit happened, and most of us in America were like, those people, they really screwed the pooch on this. And then we had what happened to us for 4 years. So it was like, oh, okay. Apparently just angry people who aren't really thinking shit through. That's going to be a global pandemic at this point. It's not just happening in England. It's happening all over the world where just angry, stupid people are allowed to make angry, stupid decisions without regard for how it affects the rest of us. By the way, the Brexit thing, actually, let me just say this. There's an HBO movie called Brexit. I think it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, who's awesome. I love that guy. Doctor Strange, don't you know? He plays the architect of the Brexit. He played a British political pollster in this movie, this HBO movie called Brexit. And it just basically shows how he didn't believe in it, the guy who was behind, but he wanted to show how effective his polling strategies were, how he could literally change people's minds to do whatever he wanted. And that's basically what the movie Brexit is about. It also has some really interesting portrayals of Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage and some of the other people who were leaders of the 2016 Brexit movement in England. Good movie, Brexit. You should watch it. It's very good. It's really good, really interesting. 2018, on this day, 12 boys and an assistant coach from a soccer team in Thailand are trapped in a flooded cave, leading to an 18-day rescue operation. You guys remember this? Remember when the Thailand soccer team kids, they were all stuck in the underground cave and we were all like, well, how'd they get there? What are they doing under there? And then there was like the big problem because the whole world was like, we've got to save the kids. And some dude, some Thailand submarine dude, actually, I don't know how this resolved itself. So maybe he did save him. I don't know. But he was like, I'm going to save them. I've got the technology. And then Elon Musk got involved. And Elon Musk was like, no, we're going to save them. We're going to build something that is able to save these kids. It was a good opportunity for him to get a little publicity before Elon Musk that he is today. And in order to stop the other guy who's already in Thailand with the submarines from doing it, do you remember Elon Musk was a pedophile? And it turned into like a whole thing where this guy's like, I'm suing you for like $1 billion because I'm not a pedophile. And Elon Musk is like, but you live in Thailand. It's like one of those deals. That was on this day. They all survived, right? They got all those kids out. That was a good deal. All right, let's talk about some birthdays. Birthdays that happened. Those kids have a great story. Yeah, I don't know how traumatic the 18 days were there. I hope none of them died. Gee, I don't know. I could click on it and I could probably see if any of them died, but I don't want to do that. Let's just move forward. Let's do some birthdays. We already mentioned that my mom was born today. Born on this day in 1894, my mom shares a birthday with Alfred Kinsey, the American entomologist and sexologist, the Kinsey Institute. The Kinsey Institute in Indiana, which is the first organization, I guess, to actually kink and sexual habits, sexuality. They did all of that stuff. So happy birthday to you, Alfred Kinsey, born on this day in 1894. Born on this day in 1912, Alan Turing. Speaking of Benedict Cumberbatch, Alan Turing, an English mathematician and computer scientist, the movie Imitation Game that Benedict Cumberbatch Turing. He's considered the father of AI, artificial intelligence. He was a computer dude back in the 1940s, one of the earliest, and a code breaker. He created a system that was able to break Nazi codes in order. He's a hero. Movie game. If you've ever seen it, it's pretty good. Alan Turing, born on this day in 1912. Born on this day in 1927, Bob Fosse, jazz hands. Bob Fosse, American actor, dancer, choreographer, and director, died in 1987. Bob Fosse. Born on this day in 1929, died in 2003. June Carter Cash, Johnny Cash's wife, June Carter Cash. Who played her? Reese Witherspoon? Was that, or was it? I always get Reese Witherspoon and, no, it was Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon played her, right, in the Johnny Cash movie? I don't know. June Carter Cash, born on this day in 1929. Born on this day in 1940, Stu Sutcliffe. He's the guy. He was. Okay, so everybody talks about Pete Best being the guy that the Beatles fired in order to hire Ringo, and then the Beatles became the Beatles. But Pete Best was the Beatles drummer right up until the moment when the Beatles became the Beatles, when they decided, okay, let's get rid of this guy and let's put this guy in here, Ringo. So everyone says like Pete Best is the forgotten Beatle. No, Stuart Sutcliffe. Stuart Sutcliffe was in the Beatles and he just quit. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. I'd rather just go back to art school. So Stuart Sutcliffe went back to art school. Missed out on the whole Beatles thing. Brian Brown, born on this day in 1947, Australian actor and producer. What did Brian Brown do? Brian Brown, FX. You remember the movie FX and FX2 from like the 90s? That's all I can think of. Born on this day in 1948, Clarence Thomas, American lawyer and jurist, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Clarence Thomas, born on this day in 1948. Born on this day in 1955, an interesting guy who sort of became an icon in two different genres of music. Glenn Danzig. Glenn Danzig is Celebrating a birthday today, American singer, songwriter, and producer. Danzig started out, I mean, he's an icon. He's an icon in the world of punk rock. He's like a god in the world of punk rock. He was a punk rock, god. Okay. And then there was like a period of time where he merged into metal, and then he became like an icon of metal. So happy birthday, Glenn Danzig. You made it in two different lanes. Born on this day in 1956, American Idol judge Randy Jackson, American bass player and producer, host of American Idol, Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson claims that he was in Journey, but he wasn't really in Journey. Ain't nobody who likes Journey thinks of Randy Jackson as being in Journey. When Journey started, when Journey got really big, solo projects and stuff, they just filled spots with like, God, yeah, Randy Jackson was one of those guys with Journey for a while, but that's not like he was a member. He ain't Neil Schon. He ain't. Let's move on. Born on this day in 1957, Frances McDormand. Tells her she's an American actress. I always thought she was Canadian. Frances McDormand, American actress and winner of the Triple Crown of Acting. Until this very moment, I've never heard of the Triple Crown of Acting. So let's see what the Triple Crown of Acting is. It's got to be an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony. The Triple Crown of Acting is a term used in the American entertainment industry to describe actors who have won a competitive Academy Award, Emmy Award, and Tony Award. There you go. All right. There you go. She's good. Do we do a Frances McDormand draft? Frances McDormand? Nah, I'm not really prepared to do a Frances McDormand draft. Although we probably could. Let me give a quick look. Does she have an easy to find filmography? A lot of these people have so much work that their filmographies are on different pages. Let's see. Fargo, right? I mean, Fargo would have to be the first. Did a lot of stuff with the Coen brothers. Isn't she married to one of the Coen brothers? I think that's, yeah, McDormand has been married to director Joel Coen since 1984. All right, let's see here. Blood Simple. Oh, that was her first movie in 1984. And like the first of the Coen brothers movie. Oh, Blood Simple is so good. Raising Arizona. Oh, so good. Mississippi Burning. Oh, so good. Miller's Crossing. So good. Barton Fink. So good. Shortcuts. So good. She's done a lot of good stuff. We're only in the early 90s. We haven't even gotten to Fargo yet. Fargo. So good. Primal Fear. So good. Wonder Boys. Oh, God, do I love the movie Wonder Boys. If you've never seen the movie Wonder Boys. Almost Famous in 2000. Remember, she played the mom. She played Cameron Crowe's mom. Let's see here. What else did she do? Burn After Reading. I didn't like Burn After Reading. Moonrise Kingdom. I don't like any of those movies. Moonrise Kingdom was, who's that guy? That guy who does the weird movies? Wes Anderson. I hate Wes Anderson. Oh, Wes Anderson is a genius. No, Wes Anderson is a self-indulgent fool. His movies make no sense, and his movies are designed to make no sense so that people who like to feel superior about what we've all just witnessed together can say, oh, I got it. You didn't get it? I totally got it. Screw you, Wes Anderson. Screw you, Moonrise Kingdom. What else did she do? Nomadland. No, thank you. That movie sucked. There you go. All right. So we didn't do an official Frances McDormand draft, although we could have after looking at that. I certainly do think that she was deserving of a draft, but she didn't get an official one. Born on this day in 1972. Here's a sad one. Selma Blair. Oh, do I love Selma Blair. So Selma Blair. Oh, was she was such a, she was a cool actress. She was I'm sorry. I shouldn't say she's not dead. But her career at like 35 or whatever, she was like one of the hottest young actresses in Hollywood, and she was someone that people were watching. They're like, oh, she's gonna be great. And then MS, she got MS, and then she's still around. She just wrote a book. But happy birthday to you, Selma Blair. I like you. Born on this day in 1972. I hope you're feeling fine. Born on this day in 1974, Joel Edgerton, Australian actor. He's another great one. We could do a Joel Edgerton draft because I love Joel Edgerton, but we won't because he does a lot of like movies that nobody's ever heard of. Born on this day in 1977, Jason Mraz. No idea who this guy is. I mean, I know who he is. Like if you said, who's Jason Mraz? I would go, he's a singer. And then if you went, hey, give me a Jason Mraz song, I'd go, can't do it. I don't know anything Jason Mraz has ever done. He seems to be successful, and he's having a birthday today. So good for him. Born on this day in 1979, Ladainian Tomlinson, LT. Not the LT, but the second LT. Not Lawrence Taylor, Ladainian Tomlinson, American football player, one of the great running backs in the history of the NFL. A guy who I think when we make our lists of great running backs, maybe sometimes we forget about him, and then we have to shoehorn him into the top 10. Because for my life of watching football, I definitely think Ladainian Tomlinson is deserving of a top 10 ranking. But that's just me. Born on this day in 1980, Melissa Rauch. Melissa Rauch. You know who she is? Sorry, I got something stuck in my tooth. Okay, we got it. I don't want to eat it. Whatever that was. I don't know. It's something from... I had a rice cake. Because, again, I'm feeling sick. So I had a rice cake. Born on this day in 1980, Melissa Rauch. Now, Melissa Rauch, she's in Big Bang Theory. She plays... Whose girlfriend does she play? I don't even know what she plays. I like Big Bang Theory. I got no issues with Big Bang Theory. I just didn't see a whole bunch of episodes. I've seen enough where I'm like, it's a funny show. She is one of these you know how Hollywood does this? Hollywood takes like a really attractive person, but they got to play a nerd, so they just throw glasses on them and dress them funny. That's what they did to Melissa Rauch. Melissa Rauch is like a smoke show. She is like a super hot chick, and they needed her to play a nerd on Big Bang Theory, so they threw glasses on her and they dressed her up in frumpy clothes. And hey, look at this, we've got a Hollywood nerd for you. She'd still be like the hottest girl in any Toledo high school, but in Hollywood, she's a nerd. Born on this day in 1993. Take a moment here. Oh, no. Oh, I just realized I did something a little bit wrong. Born on this day in 1993. My current favorite baseball player alive. Happy birthday to my guy, T.A. Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson, born on this day. Shortstop for your Chicago White Sox. Team leader, team everything, the heart, the soul. Hashtag change the game. Hashtag baseball needs more Tim Andersons. Tim Anderson got into a little trouble last week. Not trouble. He's not a troublemaker guy. He's, but, you know, personal life stuff. So last week, and I hate to do this on TA's birthday, but so last week TA was trending because his wife Tim Anderson's wife Instagrammed a picture of Tim Anderson and Mrs. Anderson out to dinner. And the wife said something like, me with my loving husband, blah, blah, blah. And then like minutes later, Tim Anderson's side piece posted a picture of her with Tim Anderson. And she's pregnant. The side. Oh, that's crazy time. That is crazy. Imagine that. Okay, so you're cheating on your wife. If you're going to cheat on your wife, and I don't recommend you do, I just recommend you get a divorce and move on. But if you're going to be cheating on your wife, you don't want to be cheating with a crazy person who would do something like that, who would totally, unless, so we don't know what the story is. We still haven't, I mean, and I'm very big on White Sox Twitter. We have been trying to figure out exactly what the hell's going on with this Tim Anderson story. But there's not a whole lot being talked about it. So, apparently Tim Anderson has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend is pregnant, and his girlfriend is crazy. And his girlfriend actually posted on a thread that Tim Anderson's wife created showing the husband had knocked up the girlfriend. So there you go. Happy birthday, Tim Anderson. And I know it's got to be rough. Your wife is probably a little bit upset. Deaths on this day. We've got some deaths on this day. Dead on this day in 2006, American actor, producer, screenwriter, Aaron Spelling. Dallas, Texas. Dallas guy. Aaron Spelling, one of the most successful television producers in history. I'm a big TV guy. I love TV. And I've got no real dislike or, I got no real solid positions on Aaron Spelling. Other than to say this, there was a period of time in American television where we only had 3 network channels, and then you had a couple of local UHF channels. So maybe you had 5, 6 channels, depending on the market you were in. So at any given time, if you were watching TV, you had like 6 things to choose from. Aaron Spelling dominated that era with lowest common denominator television. Aaron Spelling made $1 billion destroying American TV. When we talk about peak TV, we go, whoa, we're in peak TV. Yeah, that came after Aaron Spelling stopped dominating television. Aaron Spelling is responsible for some of the stupidest, most mind-numbingly inane television in the history of it was all just okay, sure, Love Boat, Charlie's Angels, Fantasy Island, those are fun. Those are fine. Those sort of reach the top, the cream rises. But he's got so much bullshit. Aaron Spelling, Super Train, just like really dumb shit. There were no talented writers working for Aaron Spelling. Have you ever listened to the dialogue of an episode of Love Boat? There's nothing good happening there. There's nothing interesting. It's just all about the boat, just all about girls in the background in bikinis. It's Aaron Spelling. He died on this day. He made a lot of money destroying American television for about 2 decades, but we got it back. American television has never been better than it is right now. Aaron Spelling, dead on this day in 2006. Dead on this day in 2009. Here's a rough one. Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon died on this day in 2009. Of course, the longtime sidekick to Johnny Carson on Tonight Show. Beloved American icon, Ed McMahon, died on this day in 2009. He was born in 1923. So there you have it. Dead on this day in 2011, Peter Falk. Peter Falk, Columbo. That's all I know. I know Peter Falk did a whole bunch of other stuff, but he played Columbo on TV. Dead on this day in 2015, Dick Van Patten. Dick Van Patten. 8 is enough, right? He was the dad on 8 is enough. The Van Patten clan. There's like 1 million Van Pattens out there doing all kinds of things in entertainment. Dick Van Patten died on this day in 2015. Died on this day in 2021. Here's an interesting one. John McAfee died 1 year ago today. Now, you may not know who John McAfee is, but you know the name McAfee because every time you turn on your computer, you get the McAfee antivirus, that. So John McAfee was a internet security antivirus guy. Whatever, he did that. He did McAfee, whatever. All right, he became like a billionaire, and he was crazy. He was out of his mind. I think he murdered people. He murdered people, but then he used his money to just sort of island hop for 10 years of his life. He would stay outside the reach of authorities, kind of like what we're seeing with a Roman Polanski or Julian Assange. But he had enough money so that he could just set up shop on these little Banana Republic islands and pay the local government $1 million to let him live there for a year. And the local government wouldn't allow anybody to come in and arrest him. How did he die? Let me jump on this. There is a documentary about John McAfee that is so fascinating. I think it's on Showtime. Well, let me tell you what that documentary is before we move further. Then I want to find out how he died. I think they finally arrested John McAfee, and I think he died in prison. I think he did an Epstein kind of a deal. Okay, so the John Gringo. If you ever have a chance to see Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Man, that is a crazy, crazy ass documentary about a rich guy who just was all out of F's to give. And he just used his money to basically do whatever the hell he wanted to be. All right, here's the death. All right, let's see. How did he die? On June 23rd, 2021, McAfee was found dead in a prison cell. Yeah, I knew it was like an Epstein kind of a thing. McAfee was found dead in a prison cell at the Bryans II Penitentiary Center near Barcelona. Hours after the Spanish National Court ordered his extradition to the United States on criminal charges filed in Tennessee, the Catalan Justice Department said everything indicates he killed himself by hanging. An official autopsy confirmed his suicide. McAfee's death ignited speculation and conspiracy theories about the possibility that he was murdered. McAfee's death drew comparisons to the circumstances of the death of American financier Jeffrey Epstein, who was found dead in August of 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Several times, McAfee claimed if he were ever found dead by hanging, it would mean that he was murdered. Minutes after the report of his death, an image of the letter Q was posted in his Instagram feed. His account was subsequently taken down, apparently in reference to QAnon conspiracy theories. These theories have been referred to by some journalists as speculative, bizarre, and baseless, primarily based on McAfee's own statements. The day after his death, his lawyer told reporters that while he regularly maintained contact with McAfee in prison, there were no signs of suicidal intent. McAfee's widow reaffirmed, by the way, his widow was just like some 18-year-old island girl. Like he would jump from island to island and he had these like super young little like indigenous girlfriends. Crazy. McAfee's widow reaffirmed this position in her first public remarks since her husband's death and also called for a thorough investigation. On February 13th, 2022, Spanish court ruled McAfee died by suicide. That was a year ago. He was on the run for a long time. Again, Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee is fascinating. Just an absolutely fascinating documentary. You can probably find it. I think it was on Showtime, but you might be able to find it on like Hulu or something like that. All right, so let's get into what's trending today. That's what the show is about. We talk about all the things that are trending. All right, so a lot of weird stuff trending. We'll get through it. Let's see, it's 12:52. I'm starting to feel a little verklempt, so we're going to run through these things, and then I'm going to call it a show for the day. New York gun law, Supreme Court. You're seeing this happen. It's going around a lot. The Supreme Court has... So in New York, we talked about this yesterday. So in New York, if you want to have a personal handgun to be able to carry, here was the problem. It was very hard in New York to get yourself a gun. You have to be able to demonstrate a specific threat, which would warrant you feeling, that you need to carry a gun. And the example that was cited in front of the Supreme Court was somebody who works late at night in a bad neighborhood, who knows they're going to be walking through a bad neighborhood, wants to have a gun because he is threatened for his own protection, because he feels he is threatened walking through the neighborhood. Now, the law in New York up until today said you can't have a gun because you can't cite a specific threat. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm walking through Bed-Stuy. I'm walking through, the worst parts of New York. I'm walking through Hell's Kitchen at 3:00 in the morning. What do you mean a specific threat? It's all a specific threat. Nope, no. So that was the problem in New York. You had to be able to demonstrate a specific threat. Like, one, this person said they are going to kill me, thus I need a gun to protect me from this person who said they were going to kill me. That's how hard it was to get a gun in New York to be able to carry out on the street. Well, the Supreme Court said, nope. Sorry, but the state... And this is goes along with something else that's trending. This is why it's so interesting. Because the Supreme Court of the United States, in this particular gun issue, said that the state does not have a right. There is no state right here to... states' rights in this particular situation do not supersede the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. Okay, so if the federal government says you can have a gun and it shouldn't be this hard to get a gun, then the states have no right to do that. However, next week, the Supreme Court is expected to side with the states on abortion. So it's like, this is a very interesting sort of thing that we have to see how it plays out. Because in the case of guns in New York City, the Supreme Court of the United States just today said that the state doesn't get to say, what the state doesn't get to make the rules if those rules supersede what the federal government says. However, next week with abortion, the Supreme Court is expected to say, well, the state can make the rules if they want to outlaw or ban abortion. They don't have to listen to. So it's just so very. I'm going to be interested to hear what the arguments are on that one, because I don't get it. It certainly does seem like they're two contradicting arguments about what the state has the right to do as far as, governing its population. Dave & Buster's is trending. Dave & Buster's is trending here locally in Dallas because there was a big shooting at Dave & Buster's last night. Big shooting at my Dave & Buster's. This is my Dave & Buster's. This is the Dave & Buster's off 75 in Park. I think it's just south of Walnut Hill over there in North Park Mall. Fancy area of Dallas. North Park Mall is like the fancy pants mall here in the Dave & Buster's in North Park Mall had a shooting last night. We go to this Dave & Buster's a lot. I mean, this is our Dave & Buster's. This is the one that me and my boy Mace and E, who lives in the big house here, he and his son, we go there, we play, we drink beer, we watch football games in the sun in the fall. Oh, it was great. The kids are playing, the kids are having a good time. And now there's a shooting. One person is dead after a shooting at a Dave & Buster's restaurant in Dallas Wednesday evening, according to the Dallas Police Department. Officers responded to a shooting at 9400 North Central Expressway, Park in 75, and arrived to find a man with an apparent gunshot wound. The preliminary investigation found that two men were involved in an altercation, and one of them pulled out a gun. Pussy. Two guys are fighting. Well, you can't have a fist fight. Seriously? You got it. That's the problem. Everybody's a tough guy. Guys who would not normally engage in these kinds of altercations, if they have a gun on them, they're more than willing to because they want to shoot somebody. And that's basically what happened. Somebody got shot because two dudes, probably 20-somethings. That Dave & I have actually said that I have a bit of an issue with that Dave & Buster's, regardless of the fact that it's in this really highfalutin, nice neighborhood adjacent to North Park Mall and all that kind of stuff. There is Dave & Buster's is trying, at least in that location, to increase its evening business by, there's a dance club now attached to that Dave & Buster's. So here's what you get. So if you're going to put Dave & Buster's is an arcade for kids. Look, let's be honest about what Dave & Buster's is. Dave & Buster's was created for single dads so that they can give their kid a roll of quarters and they could sit at a bar and eat some buffalo wings, watch football, and drink beer. That is what Dave & Buster's is. But Dave & Buster's wants more than that, at least as far as this North Park location. Dave & Buster's has created a dance club. Right there, there's a dance club with a karaoke bar. And who are they appealing to? They're not appealing to grown-ups. The grown-ups don't want to go to a gigantic arcade, right? They're appealing to 21, 22, kids, people who are still kids who by, their driver's license says that they can consume alcohol. So we were out there a couple of months ago and I'm watching this, the kids are playing, the kids are running around playing. And then just on the other side of the building, you see this, I don't know, a lot of people who looked like they may have at one point in their life been in gangs. It was just a really weird thing. It's okay, so is this for family or is this for people who probably have guns in their waistbands? So look, I predicted that this was going to happen or something like this was going to happen because this Dave & Buster's doesn't know what they want to do. You're not a dance club. You're not a dance club for dirtbag 22-year-olds. That's not what you are. Dave & Buster's, you are a place where single dads or divorced dads can take their kids. That's what you are. Don't try and be more than what you are. So there you go. That happened last night. Here's a fun one. This is awesome. Jeff says, I thought it was supposed to be the adult Chuck E. Cheese. No, well, yeah, to an extent. But Chuck E. Cheese, they also have beer at Chuck E. Cheese, at least the ones in where I come from do. Chuck E. Cheese is way more infantile. Chuck E. Cheese is way more little kids. Dave & Buster's seems to be designed for, whereas Chuck E. Cheese is all about, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It seems like Dave & Buster's is for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It just seems like a little bit older as far as who they're targeting as the kids. But it's Dave & Buster's is not supposed to be an adult. We there was this thing a couple of years ago I had a friend of mine who worked for Dave & Buster's. They got their job and they had this like whole, like, you get your packet when you work, because Dave & Buster's is a Dallas-based company. And you get your packet, your entry packet. And I remember I was looking through her packet and I was reading like the history of Dave & Buster's, and that's exactly what it was. It was conceived as a place for weekend dads to be able to take their kids. Now, over the last few years, it really does seem to me that they're trying to become more of a bar. And I think that's a dangerous sort of combination. You have bars and then you have arcades. Arcades attract younger people who play. Bars, I would think that if I owned a bar, I would want to attract grown-ups. Dave & Buster's is trying to mix that whole thing. Hey, let's get a bunch of 20-year-olds with fake IDs drunk and then see what happens. But here, we'll move on, because here's a big one. Here's a big one in North Texas. I woke up today and I saw this and I was shocked. So let me tell you what's trending. Look at this. There's a bunch of these that are trending. It is dominating. We've got Longhorns. We've got Hook'em. We've got Texas is back. And we've got Arch Manning. Arch Manning, the most coveted high school quarterback of the past, I don't know, 2 years, because, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I remember, and this is long before Trevor Lawrence played for Jacksonville or Justin Fields played for my Bears. But I do remember coming out of high school, all the hype being around Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and where would they go. Because these two, the top 1 and 2 high school ranked quarterbacks from that class, they like lived in the same neighborhood. They like played for like competing high schools. So Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence have played each other their entire careers. So that was pretty big. But Arch Manning, the quarter, where is he? Is it De La Salle High School in New Orleans? I think, maybe, I'm not sure. Arch Manning has been, since he's a freshman in high school, he has been the quarterback that people have been saying he's going to be the greatest quarterback in the history of quarterbacking. Does the name sound familiar? It should, because he is the latest in the Manning family quarterbacks. You've got Archie Manning. Archie Manning is the grandpa, right? You got Archie Manning, great quarterback, Hall of Fame. Is he a Hall of Famer? Feels like Archie Manning should be a Hall of Famer, but he played his entire career with the Saints. Maybe not his entire career, but the bulk of his career with the Saints, and they were so terrible. I wonder if that kept him out. Anyway, Archie Manning was an amazing quarterback. So you got Grandpa Archie Manning. You got his 2 kids, Peyton and Eli Manning. And then Archie Manning had a third kid named Cooper. Cooper was not a quarterback. Cooper was, I believe, a tight end, and he got injured, so he didn't really get to fulfill his dreams of Manning football stardom. But Cooper had a son, and Cooper's son's name is Arch Manning. So this is the nephew of Eli, the nephew of Peyton, and the grandson of Archie Manning. And he has decided he's coming to Texas. He's coming to UT. Texas is back. Longhorns, hook up. Very excited. This is very exciting news. Now, one quarterback isn't going to change everything, but it certainly does give you a nice little head start. If you've got a really, this is a good thing. This is especially if you're a Longhorns fan, and I am. I've become a big Longhorns fan over the last couple of years. Like last 20 years. Because honestly, before I moved here, I didn't give a shit about Texas Longhorns. I really didn't. I didn't give a shit about any of that brand of football. I didn't know anything about Oklahoma. I knew what a normal, I was a Big Ten guy, right? I was like, yeah, I don't care about that. I care about Michigan. I care about Wisconsin. I care about, I'm a Notre Dame guy. They're not even in the Big Ten, but still, I like Midwestern football. So that's my college football was always geared towards that. And then 20 years ago, I came down here, and one of the first things that I did upon moving to Dallas was I was taken to a Texas OU game. And I didn't have a dog in that fight other than the fact that I lived in Texas. And so I was like, okay, so I guess I'm going to be a UT fan. And then the whole Vince Young situation came, and I became a big UT. I love UT. My son loves UT. My son loves UT so much. And I am a little bit worried about this Arch Manning thing, because I love UT My son loves UT. My son also loves SMU. He's starting to become a big SMU fan because he's been to a couple of SMU games. But my son, he's also been to a couple of UT games because his mom graduated from UT. I'm worried that this Archie Manning coming to UT is the next 4 years are going to be very formative for my son. It's going to be the next 4 years of his life. He's going to be 17 if he plays 4 years, he probably won't. But you know what I'm saying? I might lose him because as of right now, his dream is to still play college football at Notre Dame. That's my little 13-year-old's dream. He wants to play college football at Notre Dame. He's from the time he was like 2-3 years old. I was mainlining Rudy into him, Newt Rockne All-American, all of these things. So he's been sufficiently brainwashed into believing that Notre Dame is where, and he wants to be a pro football player. But what 13-year-old doesn't? You know what I'm saying? So his dream as of now is to go to Notre Dame. Although he also loves Texas, and Texas and SMU are like his 2-3. He's like, Dad, I want to go to Notre Dame, but Texas or SMU would be great too. I'm worried that this Archie Manning era of Longhorns football is going to steal him away from Notre Dame. I'm worried the next couple of years, if UT gets really good, wins a national championship, because Notre Dame ain't going to win a national championship. So, this could be bad for us. This could be bad for me, but whatever. Hey, we should be so lucky. Be so lucky that a kid gets to play football at University of Texas, which he come on. I know my family's genetics and I know his mom's family's genetics. And yeah, he's really big right now. And he's like a really big offensive lineman and he's really strong and he's really good and all that kind of stuff. And he plays on select teams and, Oklahoma State is already sniffing around. He's in 8th grade. He's, and he's already... But let's be honest, he may never grow anymore. He might be, right now he's 5'11". He's 13 and 5. Oh no, he's 5'10". He said he was 5'11", but we checked him. He might not grow anymore. He might just be, and then, at that point it stops. But if he continues to grow, then who knows? He's his mom is a crazy competitor. His mom is a world-class athlete. She really is. She's a tremendous athlete. So maybe he got his competitive spirit from her. And from me, he'll be the funniest guy on the bench. That'll be his thing. His teammates will love him. He'll be the first guy at the party. He'll be, but maybe from his mom, he got other things. So that's big news. Texas. Archie Manning has declared that he is going to attend the University of Texas. How exciting for all of us. Juul is trending, not the food store in the Midwest. Juul, Juul. You know those vape cigarettes? Oh, God. I hate vaping. I don't understand the vaping industry. Do you know that from where I sit right now, there are 4 vape shops within walking distance of where I am? 4 vape shops. There's like 1 7-Eleven, but there's 4 vape shops. How do all of these vape shops stay in business? I have never seen a car in any of the parking lots, and yet vape. I don't get it. So Juul, which was one of the first of the e-cigarettes, I guess, isn't that what they were called? Now it's all just vape pens, right? And you buy the canister. So you buy a pen and you always have the pen. And then you go to the vape shop and you buy the liquid and you screw the liquid onto it and you walk around and that's how people vape. But Juul was one of the early ones through the door. And the FDA has now banned Juul vapes pods, citing conflicting data on potential harmful chemicals. So apparently Juul has some sketchy stuff, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Thursday announced a nationwide ban on the sale and marketing of Juul vaping and e-cigarette products. The federal agency cited insufficient and conflicting data in Juul's application to continue selling non-fruit flavored products. The company must cease marketing and sales of Juul vaping devices and 4 types of liquid pods, Virginia tobacco flavored and menthol flavored pods. The agency said retailers should contact Juul with questions about products they have on shelves or in their inventory. The sales and marketing ban does not restrict consumer possession or use of the popular devices. The agency does not enforce consumer use of vaping or other tobacco products. All right, so Juul is out. You're out. Can't sell Juul. They were like the big name, right? Weren't they like the first really big name in like e-cigarettes? Hey, do you remember the early days of e-cigarettes, like 20 years ago, when it wasn't what it is now, which is like a pen that you screw on a little vape thing to? In the early days, it was just, it looked like a cigarette. It was like a fake cigarette and had a little red light on the end. That didn't catch on. People were like, yeah, that's stupid. I'm not smoking a cigarette. I'm doing something. Young people weren't looking to fool people into having them think they're smoking actual cigarettes. That must have been the idea, right? So we'll get people to smoke these e-cigarettes, and they might be a bit embarrassed that they're smoking e-cigarettes because it's different. So we'll just make the e-cigarette look like a regular cigarette, and it didn't look like a regular cigarette at all. It looked stupid. It was just colored like a regular. So, and then the younger generation who embraced the whole vaping thing, they said, yeah, no, we want our own thing. We want some like space age looking thing that looks totally different so that we can set ourselves apart. So now those fake looking cigarettes no longer exist. Oh, maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know enough about Juul. I just know you never see anybody walking around smoking an e-cigarette that is trying to replicate an actual cigarette. The NBA draft is tonight. The NBA draft is going on this evening, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Are you a big fan of the draft? I am. I love the NFL draft, and I like the NBA draft. The NBA draft is certainly not like the NFL draft. Well, the NBA isn't like the NFL. But the NBA draft can be fun. It's just one round, which is great. Well, I mean, it's not. There's a second round, but who gives a shit? I mean, it's all about the first round in the NBA draft. It's not like in the NFL where you can get like a fifth rounder who ends up playing for your team for 15 years. Although I will say this, my team, the Bulls, we've got a really good young player who we got in the second round, Ayo DeSumo. So, you can get something in the second, but it's all about the first round. It just seems like it's easier to consume, the NBA draft. Whereas the NFL draft, that's like an entire weekend. You're like, okay, we start on Thursday, and then round 2 is on Friday, and then 3 and 4 on Saturday. And it's like it's a big commitment, and you're doing a lot more research. The picks in the draft, Orlando is going first. Oklahoma City has the second pick in tonight's NBA draft. Houston Rockets have the third pick in tonight's NBA draft. My Bullies have the 18th pick in tonight's NBA draft. And our Dallas Mavericks have the 26th pick in tonight's NBA draft. It's going to be at the Barclays Center. 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight. 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Yeah, there you go. The expected is it it's the Holmgren kid, right? The Holmgren kid is a big one. Chet Holmgren, I think is his name. You got Jabari Smith from Auburn, Holmgren Gonzaga, right? And then Paolo Banchero, right? That's the dude from Duke. So those, in some particular order, it's either, we're looking at Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, or Paolo Banchero. Those could be your top 3 picks. My Bulls are trying to trade their 18th pick, and we're hoping, fingers. I am, at least. I'm like, yes, let's give our 18th pick to Utah, and let's get Rudy Gobert in a Bulls uniform. That's fine by me. Even though I know Rudy Gobert is the guy that did that thing. Remember Rudy Gobert at the start of the coronavirus? He coughed on the microphones as a joke, and then they had to shut down the whole NBA. Good job, Rudy. Good job. You were kidding. You weren't taking the pandemic seriously, and you jokingly coughed on all the microphones of all of the reporters after you had tested positive, and then they had to shut down the entire league, and that's why we had the bubble season. So there you go. That's tonight, the NBA draft. I'll be watching. What else is trending today? The 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution is trending. Why is it trending? It's trending because of what I said earlier about the gun thing. Remember I mentioned how it's weird that like the Supreme Court is saying that the state of New York has no right to supersede the federal law as it pertains to guns. But next week, the Supreme Court is expected to say that the states have the right to supersede the law when it comes to abortion, right? That's why the 14th Amendment is trending. The 14th Amendment is no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So that's basically saying that the 14th Amendment says that like a state can't create a law that says that the federal law is wrong. So 14th Amendment is trending because people are very confused. Like I said, I said when I talked about the Supreme Court case in New York, the being able to carry a gun, I said, this doesn't seem to make sense. We're going to have to see how this plays out. How does the Supreme Court of the United States justify on this day saying one thing, and then next week they're expected to say the direct opposite in situations concerning guns and abortion, respectively? Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum is trending, and Andrew Gillum is, do you remember Andrew Gillum? Oh, this guy. He ran for governor of Florida. He was the mayor of Jacksonville. He almost beat DeSantis. He came close to beating DeSantis, and a good-looking young black guy. Seems, all of the things that the liberal left love, especially when it comes to Florida. Let's get this handsome, minority, well-educated dude in the governor's mansion in Florida, and then we'll fix Florida. Well, he didn't. He lost. And then like a couple of weeks later, dude went on a bench. Well, actually, before we say this, he was by the, and I don't use this lightly. I don't, you know how I feel about the idiots on the right and the idiots on the left, and that we're all in the middle. But there was, especially among news organizations, and I'll throw one out there like MSNBC, who are decidedly left-leaning and liberal in there, they tried to make Andrew Gillum a superstar. They did that. We've seen that. It was Stacey Abrams in Georgia and Andrew Gillum in Florida, and they decided, we're just going to give these guys all the attention they need. We're going to turn them into national figures. We're going to promote them. We're going to have them on our air. Everybody needs to know about Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams. Well, Stacey Abrams did fine. She's fine. She's still running for governor. She's running against Kemp down there in Georgia. Andrew Gillum, however, like weeks after there was this idea to turn him into a national figure, he went on a bender with a bunch of gay prostitutes and a bag of meth. So, and then he disappeared. Total. Then it just became Stacey Abrams. You never heard about Andrew Gillum again because they screwed up. Well, guess what? Andrew Gillum is in trouble again. He's been indicted by a federal court for fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy. He's a dirtbag. He's a dirty guy. He was involved in some bad things, and he was a minority, well-educated, I'm not going to say that because you can't say that anymore. He was a minority, well-educated, seemingly nice guy who looked great in a suit on TV. And turns out he's gay, he's bisexual. He came out and said he was bisexual. Oh, and that's the other thing that I hated about this story. When this story first came out, the takedown of Andrew Gillum, it was put out there as, oh, he was set up. This is a right-wing setup. He doesn't like meth and gay prostitutes. He's married. And then like a couple of months later, he comes out and he's like, yeah, I'm bisexual and I've struggled with meth addiction. So in the beginning, they tried to lie to us and make us think we weren't seeing what we were seeing because it was Florida, and it was obviously some kind of right-wing hatchet job to set him up to make him look bad because they were afraid of him. No, this guy tripped over his own dick. This guy was turned into a national figure by thoughtless, liberal media morons who decided that they're going to put him on Mount Rushmore because look at how great he looks in a suit. And then it turns out they didn't do their due diligence. This guy turned out to be a complete idiot. Not because he's bisexual, that's fine, but because, he's doing meth, because he's running for the governorship. He thinks that he can be a national leader. And He's not just gay. He's hooking up with gay prostitutes. He's hooking up. He's doing meth in a hotel room, and he's doing so much meth and so much that he passes out. Remember, this whole story came to be because somebody had to call 911 because I guess one of the prostitutes, one of the gay prostitutes, had like OD'd, and then when the police showed up, the ambulance and the police and all that, they showed up. They found, hey, isn't that the guy who he was passed out in a chair? They're like, hey, isn't that the guy who just ran for governor of this state with a bag of meth in his pocket, passed out with? Just a complete joke. Just a complete joke. People are put in front of us and we are told that they are one thing. And then we all go, oh, isn't Andrew Gillum such? He is an asshole. This guy is an asshole. Good riddance. Go away. This is totally unrelated to the meth and the prostitutes and all that. He's been indicted on a bunch of fraud charges. He's also a scumbag scammer. So there you go. You know, we did this. You know who else the left media did this with? And by the way, it's just that Andrew Gillum is trending. Why I'm saying this about the left, because I can list a whole bunch of people that the right put up on, and we all just accept it as being like responsible, decent people. And but we won't do that. Remember Michael Avenatti? Michael Avenatti was another one. Michael Avenatti was put on. CNN had that dude on every day. Oh, he was Stormy Daniels' attorney, who's now like in prison for the next 30 years because it turned out that he was a piece of shit as well. We do this a lot. We elevate these people to positions, and then we just go, oh, it's the Johnny Bravo syndrome. They look good. Andrew Gillum looked good in a suit. So we decided, let's make him the next Barack Obama. Yeah, no, he likes meth, escorts, and he's involved in a whole bunch of like shady business deals. Shark attack is trending. Shark attack. There was a shark attack yesterday, or was it this morning? I think it was yesterday. Man, I don't know if I even want to show this video. Let's just pull this story up. This is awful. You know what? All right, I'll pull the video. We'll watch this story. This is how it aired on the Today Show this morning. I have some hot takes on shark attacks, and we'll get to them in a minute. So as soon as I can find the story. All right, here we go. Shark attack. We'll watch this story from the Today Show. This is where it aired. Although I got a feeling they're probably going to make us watch some stupid commercial. Yeah. All right, so we got 20 seconds. We have 20 seconds before we can actually watch this. How you guys doing today? You guys doing okay? I tell you, it's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to my mom. All right, here we go. All right, so there's a little Verizon commercial. All right, can we see this? 4 seconds. Okay. All right, now I just need some.
Went out just after 10:30 Wednesday morning.
All right, here we go.
We're getting a report that
all right, here's the story, the shark attack story.
From Water Rescue, Lover's Point.
The call went out just after 10:30 Wednesday morning.
We're getting a report that somebody got attacked by a shark. They're still in the water, and there are about 4 people in the water trying to get to them.
Officers responding to the report of a shark attack at Lovers Point Beach in Pacific Grove, California.
Okay, what we're seeing here is a dude completely chewed up by a shark. Now, thankfully, we can't see any of the true,
the victim
gore, but
swimming about 150 yards offshore when the attack happened.
We could hear someone calling for help, 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 and then splashing the water.
Johns and Paul Bandy were paddleboarding nearby.
As soon as we got close to him, we could see that he had severe lacerations on his arm and leg.
Keith Braddock, a surfer who was working with kids in the area, also heard the cries for help.
So I grabbed a couple boards and took 2 boards out. As I approached, I saw kind of the pool of blood. It was probably the size of a table or a car.
This video shows
table or a car
and Heath getting to the swimmer at about the same time, putting him onto the extra board and then frantically paddling him back to shore.
Where'd the shark go?
The victim's injuries, extensive.
His leg was almost severed.
Severely injured,
yeah.
All the way down to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
And a lucky break. Paul is a cop.
Well, it's good that they
Amy
can smile and laugh
nurse.
about it now, right?
Paul was calling tourniquet. So people knew on the shore ready in advance to have things that they could use. And so people jumped right in. There was a physician that was there, a nurse, myself and some other bystanders really helped out a lot.
The victim also suffered significant injuries to his torso and arm.
Yeah, definitely the worst injuries I've ever seen, of any accident.
After the attack, the Coast Guard used boats and drones to search for the shark, but were unable to track it down.
What are you searching for? This is what I never understand. What are you searching for the shark for? A shark did what a shark does. There are sharks in that water. What are we going to put the shark on fucking trial? This is also stupid. Well, we've now got to kill that shark.
Says that as horrific
as opposed to what? The other sharks who wouldn't have attacked the guy?
To see so many people jump in to help.
I was really struck by by the courage of those people that went out and to save him.
Got to give him that.
So, Carrie, are sharks normally around this particular beach in California, or was it a rare incident?
Well, the Pacific Grove locals that we spoke to say that they have never seen a shark close to the beach here.
All right, so here's the story. I don't know if we caught all of this. So this dude was out there. He was swimming 150 yards off the coast. That's a football field and a half. You will never catch me more than, say, 20 or 30 yards out into an ocean. Not without a boat. Not without something around me, not without, are you kidding? I don't go in the ocean. I'll go into the ocean, I'll walk in. I've been to the beach, it's fine. But I'll go out, I'll tell you this. I am sure as shit not going out into the ocean anywhere where I can't touch the bottom. Where, this right here, the water level may be here, and this is really pushing it. This is about as far out in the ocean I will go because there's way too much going on underneath the water that I can't see and I can't move. And no. This dude was swimming 150 yards off the coastline, off the beach, just swimming. Look at me. I'm an interesting guy. I swim. Well, I don't blame the shark. I don't blame the shark. Sharks live in the ocean. You know who doesn't live in the ocean? Human beings. Human beings don't live in the ocean. If a bear walks into your apartment, you kill that bear, right? Well, it's the same thing with a shark. You're the bear in this scenario. You're the human being swimming 150 yards off the coast is the bear walking into somebody's apartment. The shark killed. Now they're going to find the shark. Well, and now we're going to spend all kinds of money and all kinds of manpower. We're going to look for this shark. What? How? You can tell the difference between a shark. How are you? And by the way, what happened to the shark? Why did it just swim away? Did the shark swim away when other people? And this is the other thing that I can't. You're out there in the water. First of all, you're an idiot for being out there in the water. All of these people are idiots. There is some degree of heroism because I will give credit to the people who swam out there. But how are you gonna, you see a guy getting eaten by a shark and you, as a human being, you swim out. There were people on paddleboard. I am not going out on a paddleboard in shark infested. Are you kidding me? But they got him. And I don't know if they saved it. I was reading a story. This was from earlier this morning. The dude may not make it. So, let's not say that they saved a life yet. But could you imagine? No chance in hell. No chance in hell. If I'm standing on the shoreline and somebody's being eaten by a shark and he's out there like 150 yards, I'm like, that's why I don't go 150 yards off the coast. That's why I don't go 20 yards off the coast. I can't. We don't belong there. We don't. And by the way, we're not talking about a cut. He didn't just cut himself. He didn't just get sliced with a knife. He got tore up by a shark and now he's in salt water. Oh my God. I guess you're in shock. You're in shock. So you're not really feeling it. But if you were feeling it, there's nothing good about this story. I hate this shark story. But you go, what are you going to go get the shark? Why are you going to get the shark? And how are you going to know you're going to get the actual shark that did this? Nobody got a picture of it. They're not going to be like, yeah, it looks like the shark. Sharks all look the same. And certainly, well, we went out looking for the shark. That is so stupid. That is such dumbass programmed behavior. Look, well, what should we do? Well, I think we should go get the shark. Nobody said why. Why are you going to go get the shark? What happens after you waste all of these manpower hours after you, what happens after you, let's say that you get a shark. Then what are you going to do? You can put it on trial for eating a swimmer? Come on. This is so stupid. Now, if you told me that's it, we're killing all the sharks, well, that I would understand. Okay. So you want to rid the oceans of sharks? That's fine. Kill off all the sharks. That I understand. I don't know that I would support it, but at least that kind of makes sense. You're going to just make it safe for humans to swim in the ocean. You're going to kill all the sharks, but you're going after one specific shark, one specific criminal shark. So stupid. That's programming. That is, what should we do? Let's go get that shark. Why? Why are we going after that shark? You see this too with like a bear. Like somebody's out in like the Canadian wilderness and they get eaten by a bear. Let's go get that bear. Why? Why are you going to get that bear? That bear did what bears do. You're not supposed to be 100 miles from nowhere in the middle of the Canadian Rockies. You might run into a bear. It's not the bear's fault that he's going to eat you. Shark. Let's go get the shark. Your shark logic sounds a lot like Parker's fight cock logic. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Jeff says, look for the shark with the puka shell necklace hanging off its mouth. Yeah, right. 150 yards off the coast. You want to go for a swim? Go for a swim 10 yards off the coast. You don't have to be 150 yards in the ocean just swimming. I'm such an interesting guy. Yeah, that's right. He's probably at the bar the night before. That's right, ladies. I wake up every morning and I go for a swim. I like to get myself out there about 150 yards. Oh, it's beautiful. You really get an appreciation for God's grace when you're out there in the middle of the ocean. So you're a douchebag, guy. You are a douchebag. There's no reason for you to be out 150 yards off the coast. That's a football field and a half. I don't like the ocean. I don't know if you've been able. I grew up on the Great Lakes. I like the Great Lakes. We got to worry about sturgeon, and that's, I say that tongue firmly in cheek because nobody worries about sturgeon. We got to worry about what do we got to worry about in the Great Lakes? What do we got to worry about? You go to the beach, nothing. No jellyfish. Just little stupid Great Lakes fish. No, sturgeon are big. They're big, but you're never gonna run into a sturgeon. You're not going to run like a 20-foot sturgeon at Indiana Dunes State Park. It's not going to be a problem. And also, the other thing that makes lakes superior to the ocean for swimming, salt water. Salt water is the worst. Salt water is God's cruelest joke on humanity. God at some point said, okay, you're going to need water for humanity to survive. And I'm going to cover 3/5 of your home in water that you need to survive. But here's the catch. You're not going to be able to use any of that water for anything because I'm dumping a whole bunch of salt in there because you people can't be trusted not to swim less than 150 yards off the coast. Seriously, think about that. That's God's joke on us. You need water to survive, and we're going to give you all this water, except you're not going to be able to use any of that water for anything. Seriously, think about it. The oceans are beautiful. No, they're not. The oceans are just like a huge problem. All the oceans do is separate us from each other and make it difficult to move and circumnavigate the globe and get around and all that stuff. And then you can't drink it. There's all kinds of like sea monsters in there. And by that, I mean sharks and octopuses and stuff. It's just filled with like awful things. I hate the ocean. Moving on, Daniel Schneider is also trending. Daniel Schneider, the owner of the Washington Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them. This was interesting. There was so the United States Congress, it was a rogues gallery of fools. Like all of the least serious Congress people in the United States current Congress. They're the ones that are on this nonsense NFL Roger Goodell thing. You got people working on, you got major Supreme Court decisions going on. You got the January 6th stuff going on. You got all kinds of investigations into other things that serious members of Congress, and I say that while holding back vomit, because there's really not a whole bunch. But this particular panel of assembled congressmen, oh my God, you had everybody from that Rashid Tlaib chick who's like crazy to Jim Jordan. All the non-serious morons in the United States Congress decided that it was important to hold the NFL responsible for, and here's what it's about. So they called Roger Goodell in front of the United States Congress because Daniel Schneider, the owner of the embattled owner of the Washington Commanders, there's all kinds of issues, hiring, sexual harassment, all of these things. So the United States government has decided that they're going to impanel a group of congressmen, and they're going to pull in the commissioner of football, and they are going to question him about what's going on with the Washington football franchise. And that's what it was. It's completely stupid. And you might be saying, well, what the hell does the United States Congress have to say to the NFL, which is a private entity? And I would agree with you in a couple of areas that, if there is let's look at the Washington Commanders as a franchise. Let's say Daniel Schneider let's say we're talking about McDonald's, and Daniel Schneider operates a one single McDonald's restaurant. So if he's running that one single McDonald's restaurant really badly, you wouldn't have Congress, right, call him in and call the president or CEO of McDonald's to testify in front of Congress about why one. Except it's a little bit different. This is something that I think people are failing to recognize, because there's a lot of people, especially on the right. You'll look, okay, I've taken my shots at the left today. People on the right, why is this even an issue for the United States? Well, because you're stupid, because you don't understand. You don't get all the moving parts that are happening here. First of all, the United States Congress has always had a vested interest in the NFL, because in 1961, the United States Congress made a special rule for the NFL, which was basically a violation of our antitrust rules. The United States Congress told the NFL back in the 1960s that we're going to create a whole different situation for you to be able to operate in as a monopoly. And in return for that, we're going to have oversight over some of your more squirrely moves. So that's why this is happening. It's not just like the United States Congress is getting involved in private business. No, this particular private business made a deal with the United States Congress years and years ago to make sure that they run their operation on the up and up. Now, what were they allowed to do? Well, a lot of this has to do with they created a monopoly system with broadcast rights to television, right? So, and what that means is, so let's say the Dallas Cowboys, who are a very popular football team, let's say the Dallas Cowboys went and negotiated their own broadcast deal, independent of the NFL, right? Dallas Cowboys just went out there, and let's say they $20 million a game. Dallas Cowboys can get $20 million a game. And I don't even know if that number makes sense. But let's say the Dallas Cowboys said, okay, you want to air Dallas Cowboy games? It's going to cost you $20 million a game. And then you got like the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're like, I don't know, $500,000 a game, right? So there was like this disparity. And the NFL went to the United States Congress and said, look, here's what we want you to do. I know this is a violation of our antitrust rules, but we want you to make a special exception for us because we are the NFL, and we want you to allow us to negotiate in full. So that's why you don't have the Jacksonville Jaguars only pulling in $2 million a year for, television rights, whereas a team like the Cowboys or the Giants could get $20 million. So a special deal was made. The United States Congress made a special deal. So that's why they're involved. They've always been involved. This is not the first time these things have happened. This is just a big one because it has to do with Daniel Schneider. You know what else is an interesting thing about NFL football and why it is actually, think about this. Wrap your mind around this. There is nothing else in 2022, the way we consume media, the way that we watch television, the way that we, watch our shows, whatever it is, there is nothing else in modern entertainment like NFL football games. Now, what am I saying about that? NFL football games are the only things left. And to a lesser degree, there are live sporting events, baseball and all that, but not like NFL football. NFL football, it is the only thing that airs at a specific time where everybody gathers around their TV to watch something live. Everything else is Netflix. Everything else is, watch it on my own demand. NFL football has this power where they can gather on Sundays at noon or 3:15 or the 7:00 game, where everybody in America gathers together and watches something live. And that is, I haven't really given that a whole lot of thought, but that's some pretty interesting influence that the NFL could potentially break bad with. That doesn't happen anywhere else. There is nothing. It used to be we all watched the 10 o'clock news. Every night at 10 o'clock, people gather around the TVs and watch 10 o'clock news. Used to be every, Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, we all gather around, we watch Seinfeld. That doesn't happen anymore. The only place that still happens where people tune into a live television event is typically, at least in the numbers that the NFL draws, is on Sundays. Sundays at noon, Sundays at 3:15, Sundays at 7 o'clock. So there is sort of an influence that the NFL has. Now, I'm not saying that this is why the Congress is involved. I'm saying Congress is involved because of the antitrust special dispensation that they were given. But anyway, this is all about whether or not they're going to kick Daniel Schneider out as the owner and managing partner. That's not good. Of the Washington Commanders. And they're not going to do it, by the way. I'll tell you right now, I could look like a fool in a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but the NFL, Roger Goodell even said, he said, there is no apparatus for me to remove Daniel Schneider from the ownership of the Washington Commanders. And I'll tell you why. Here's why. They don't want the apparatus. Roger Goodell doesn't want to be able to remove Daniel Schneider because, see, here's what happened was, somebody who works within the Commanders organization filed a complaint. That complaint went through the proper channels. It was investigated. And then as it got to the top of the Commanders organization, Daniel Schneider is now accused of sort of hiding the results and not really being above board with all the information that was discovered during the investigation that this one employee, and by the way, I say one because that's the initial jumping off point. There have been other employees who have come forward, but it's just one single employee who, because of the way things are, they file a complaint, and then that starts a whole domino effect of all of these investigations, and now there's all this thing, the league has to take it seriously because, Me Too and whatever, all this stuff. Other NFL owners who hate Daniel Schneider, and Daniel Schneider is one of the least liked owners in the NFL. Other NFL owners do not want this precedent. Other NFL owners do not want Daniel Schneider to lose his $5 billion, whatever the Commanders would be worth on the market now, probably $4 billion, whatever. There is that. You think Jerry Jones will support the removal of Daniel Schneider because an employee brought a charge of something against him, and then the domino effect of the investigation led to him losing his $4 or $5 billion? No, and it doesn't matter how much the other NFL owners dislike Daniel Schneider. There is not an NFL owner that's going to go, yeah, we should allow this to happen now. We should allow the guy who works in the catering department here at the Star in Frisco to be able to take Jerry Jones down simply by going to HR and filing a complaint. See what I mean? So it's not going to get, Daniel Schneider is not going anywhere. This is all, what do they call, a dog and pony show. So that's what Daniel Schneider is trending for. He ain't going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere because there ain't nobody who owns an NFL team that wants this to become a precedent. Nobody. Too much money is involved. Excuse me. Rupert Murdoch and Jerry Hall are trending. Apparently they're getting a divorce. Rupert Murdoch and Jerry Hall. Rupert Murdoch, of course, boy, I just lost my space here. Rupert Murdoch, News Corp, one of the wealthiest men in the world. 91 years old. 91 years old, Rupert Murdoch. He was involved in North Texas's own, involved in a relationship with Jerry Hall. Jerry Hall is just famous for being... Jerry Hall... okay, so Jerry Hall is most famous because in the 70s and in the 80s, she was with Mick Jagger. So she was like Mick Jagger. They never got married, I don't think, but they were together for a long period of time. They had like a whole bunch of kids together. Like almost all of the Jagger kids are Jerry Hall kids. And then, obviously she aged out of Mick Jagger's comfort zone. So Mick had to get younger at the position. And then she just went out and married a much older guy. And she ended up with Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch and Jerry Hall are going their separate ways, according to multiple reports. Two sources familiar with the situation told the New York Times that the two were getting divorced, adding that many of their close friends were shocked about the breakup. This marks Murdoch's fourth divorce and his shortest marriage. Let's see. According to Variety, Murdoch married his first wife, Patricia Booker, in 1956 before they divorced in 67, so 11 years. Months later, he and Anna Maria Torv married, and they parted ways in 1999. So what's that, 31 years? Later that year, Murdoch married his third wife, Wendy Dang, in 1999. They split in 2013. I have to tell you, of the Murdoch wives that I'm familiar with, Wendy Dang is my favorite. Do you guys remember Wendy Dang? Wendy Dang is the woman. I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago or something. Rupert Murdoch was testifying in front of, I think it was Parliament. I think it was in England. He was like testifying in front of Parliament, and some dude bum rushed Rupert Murdoch, and seated right behind Rupert Murdoch was this crazy, sexy Chinese lady. I don't know, Dang, I think that's Chinese. This crazy, sexy Chinese lady who jumped up and like grabbed the guy. That was Wendy Dang. She's got this like whole Lucy Liu kind of vibe where she's like, I just always picture Wendy Dang in leather. Anyway, he broke up with Wendy Dang, and then he got with Jerry Hall, and now they're Jerry Hall has previously been linked with Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger, with whom she shares 4 children. Murdoch is 91. Hall is 65. Well, it's not that big. 91, 65, whatever. When you get above 60, just be happy. Just be with somebody who makes you happy. Doesn't the age. Stop with the whole age thing. Nobody cares. All right, there you go. What chance do the rest of us have if Rupert Murdoch and Jerry Hall can't make it last? Jackass is trending today. Why is Jackass trending? Well, this is interesting. Jackass is trending. I've never seen an episode of Jackass. Jackass became a thing on HBO when I was like, I don't know, 28, 29, 30, whatever. I was just, and I remember looking at it and going, oh, this is like really stupid. This is like not something that I want. But if you were 10 years younger than me, hey, maybe if Jackass had came out in 1987, maybe I'd have been more about it. But I've never seen I always knew that Jackass was trouble, that there was Stevo, one of the stars of Jackass. He is now admitting, and he did a podcast with Mike Tyson. He went on Mike Tyson's podcast, which is supposedly a pretty good podcast. Stevo says that Jackass was a bad influence on children. Quoting Stevo now, little kids were showing up in hospitals all over the country. This is so funny because that's the difference between 22-year-old Stevo and 52-year-old Stevo, right? I mean, he's like, now he's like, yeah, you know what? When I was 22, I had no field of vision. I didn't really see what this stuff that I was doing was having, the impact that it was having on kids. I didn't really care. I was cashing big checks. I was partying. I was banging bikini models. Life was good. But now I'm older and I'm like, how the hell was I allowed to do that on television? MTV, screw MTV. That was MTV's fault. MTV should have known better than to put that stuff on television. Over 2 decades ago, back in the year 2000, the first series of Jackass aired on MTV. It introduced the world to a level of stunt-fueled chaos that was never before seen, based on the fact that it was, and remains to this day, utterly bonkers and extremely dangerous. During a recent appearance on the Hot Boxing podcast with Mike Tyson, Stevo, who appeared in all but 2 of Jackass's related projects, discussed the show's cultural effect when it first aired and how it was a, quote, bad influence to children of the era who tried to emulate the wacky stunts that were featured. Here's Stevo saying now, I think in the beginning of Jackass, we were genuinely worth vilifying because back then they didn't have YouTube or video or the internet. And we were legitimately a singular bad influence, Stevo explains. When Jackass came out, little kids were showing up in hospitals all over the country and maybe the world because they saw us doing this crazy shit and they wanted to do it themselves. So little kids everywhere got video cameras and started effing themselves up and showing up in hospitals and getting really hurt. As for what has changed in regards to their effect on the youth today, Stevo credits the internet and social media for directing kids to alternative forms of entertainment, which, right, it's all fixed now, Stevo, which subsequently has landed them with less of the blame for any resulting negative influence. Oh, so what Stevo is saying is he's not being magnanimous. He's not like saying, look, what he's saying is, yeah, we were doing a really bad thing back in 2000 and we were the only ones doing a really bad thing, but we can do it now because YouTube is filled with people doing really bad things. So, now we've got what, camouflage? What? That's his. Look, Stevo is not a really smart guy. Here, I thought that he was, saying something that was very introspective and interesting and, shows growth and maturity. No. He's basically, his point is, yeah, we were bad. We were really bad and kids were getting hurt. But now we wouldn't be that bad because everybody's doing it. But what about you being the one who's like, would there be people racking themselves? By that, I mean testicular racking. Would there be like people just testicular racking themselves on YouTube left and right today if Jackass in 2000? I mean, it's a jumping off point, right? It's where it all. It's the first time I ever saw Stu. We had Evel Knievel when I was, but Evel Knievel was none of us thought we could do what Evel Knievel did. Evel Knievel couldn't do what Evel Knievel thought he could do. That was the whole point of Evel Knievel. Evel Knievel was kind of not good. Evel Knievel was not good. Evel Knievel, as a stuntman, as a guy who did these crazy, he jumped the Snake River, motors and jumping buses. The whole reason Evel Knievel became famous is because he wasn't good at it, right? I mean, let's really look at the resume of Evel Knievel. I mean, sure, he could jump over 10 buses. That's easy. Any number of people on a motorcycle can build a ramp and jump over 10 buses. And not everybody, but somebody could. That's not really high degree of difficulty. But then he starts doing shit like trying to jump the Snake River Canyon. You can't do that, Evel. He's like, yeah, I can. No, you can't. You want to watch me? Yeah, go ahead, do it. And then he didn't do it. Then you're like, see, I told you couldn't do it. And he's like, oh, no, the parachute deployed too early. No, dude, you just can't do it. It's just not something that can be done. All right. I don't know. It just felt more innocent when it was just Evel Knievel screwing up, right? When it was just Evel Knievel, it was just one guy. It wasn't like nobody, we didn't, I was going to say we didn't watch Evel Knievel in 1978 and then go, hey, let's go try and jump, because we did. Actually, now that I think about it, we did. Evel Knievel, now that I'm thinking about it, Evel Knievel was kind of a bad influence. But we were like jumping coffee cans, not buses. I don't know. Anyway, that's why Stevo is trending, because he's saying that Jackass was, as it turns out, a bad influence. All right, that's it. That's all I have for us that was prepared today. So let's jump back into, we'll do this like we do at the end of every show. Let's see if anything new has popped up that people are talking about that we didn't get to. Yeah, look at that. Archie Manning. Hook 'em. Woo. No, I don't want that. Archie Manning has declared his intent to attend the University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns! The number one quarterback prospect is now coming to the University of Texas. Miranda. Okay, this is interesting. Miranda rights are trending, number one right now. The Supreme Court on Thursday shielded police from being sued by suspects for failing to provide well-known Miranda warnings. So, that thing, we all know you have the right to remain silent. That whole, we see it in every, cop show. Yeah, apparently the Supreme Court said, yeah, you ain't got to do that. Whatever. It's probably more than that, but I don't really want to click on it and see what's happening. Second Amendment is trending. Don't want to go into that. Jewel is trending. Archie Manning is trending. Title IX is trending. All of this stuff we've already covered. Clarence Thomas is trending. It's his birthday. We talked about that. Okay, apparently the Rangers made a trade. The Texas Rangers are trending. Texas Rangers official Twitter says, we've acquired outfielder Steven Dugar from the Giants in exchange for outfielder Willie Calhoun. All right, so Willie Calhoun is gone. NBA draft is trending. Sonic the Hedgehog. These are all things we've already talked about. I feel like there's nothing new. Mansion is trending. I ain't going near that, dude. I ain't going near that. I ain't talking about no mansion. Okay. Outer Banks is trending. Outer Banks is a Netflix show. You guys watch this show? I don't know what this is. I'm seeing it a lot. Outer Banks is trending because they've added Lou Ferrigno to the cast of the Hulk. No, wait a second. Hold on. Oh my God. They didn't add Lou Ferrigno. They added somebody named Lou Ferrigno Jr. Does Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, does he have a son who's out there acting? Let me see. Lou Ferrigno Jr. Yeah, it's Lou Ferrigno's kid. Well, Lou Ferrigno Jr. Look at he's like a good-looking young man. He's not as crazy big as the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, but there you go. Louis Jude Ferrigno Jr. is an American actor. He is best known for his role in the CBS television series SWAT as Donovan Rocker, a SWAT team leader and decorated officer. He's also known for his roles on Nicky, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn, Teen Wolf, and How I Met Your Mother. Never seen this guy before. All right, but now look at this. Now I know that there is a Lou Ferrigno Jr. out there. Anything else? Federalist Society, not touching that. Stacey Abrams, not touching that. Chet Holmgren is trending. He is, people are wondering, Jabbar, who's going to be the first pick in the draft today, the NBA draft? We don't know. As team boards finalized today, the 1, 2, 3 of the NBA draft is increasingly firm, per sources. This comes from Adrian Wojnarowski. Jabari Smith from Auburn is expected to go to Orlando. Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga is expected to go to Oklahoma City, and Paolo Banchero from Duke is expected to go to Houston. There you go. Jupiter is trending. Apparently, we're having some cool planetary stuff going on out there. I don't know if that's a thing you're into. Not really a thing I'm into. I mean, it is a thing I'm into. I just get angry that, every couple of days it's, you better get outside at 4 a.m. and look at this because you're never going to see it again for 40 years. And then next week, you better go outside and see this at 2:30 a.m. because you're never going to see this again for another 50 years. There's always something. There's always something. You know what? I'm going to take a pass on this one. And maybe next week, when you tell me that there's a can't miss celestial event occurring, maybe next week I'll check it out. I'm tired of this stuff. I'm tired of you people making me think that something crazy special is happening. Well, that is not what's happening. These things happen all the time. Okay. That's going to do it. All right, folks, that's going to be it for the High Noon show today. I appreciate you joining me. We do this each and every day, Monday through Friday, noon till 2-ish, sometimes longer. Sometimes I feel good. I actually feel pretty good. I was sick when we started. I was sick last night. I was feeling like maybe I'm not even going to do a show today, but then I felt good. It's my mom's birthday. I can't not do a show on my mom's birthday. Can't have that thing. But I actually feel like I feel good. All right, John Hinckley. We close out every show with some John Hinckley music. So that's it. 23rd day of the month. Tip the show if you can. We're in that period now. Haven't been pushing it all that much for the last couple of weeks because I appreciate you guys always get us through. But if you want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, we are coming up on the end of the month, so please drop us a little something there at either the Venmo, PayPal, Bugscast, on Cash App, whatever it is. Anything you can help out with, we appreciate it. Thank you. You know what? Is Jeff still here? Is Jeff Ballard still here? Jeff Clarence Thomas' birthday wish is for less pubes on his coke. Jeff Ballard, yesterday when we were signing off the show, last night's Pillow Talk, you said, have I started to watch The Boys yet? The Boys on Amazon Prime. Jeff, Have I started watching the boys? I love the boys. The boys are one of my favorite television shows. It is quick. Now look, we're only in what, season 3? I think this is season 3 it started. So I can't really make an argument to put it in like the top 10 favorite shows of all time. But if this damn series, The Boys on Amazon Prime, if this show goes 5 seasons, it's going to be a top 5. It's going to be a top 5 favorite show of all time. So yeah, Jeff, I am way into The Boys. I love The Boys. And I'll tell you another thing about why I like The Boys so much. There is I have sort of a sentimental attachment to the show because I had never heard of The Boys. I was not familiar with the, what was it, a graphic novel? I know we're supposed to, it's a comic book. No, it's a graphic novel. Whatever. I wasn't familiar with it, but I had a very, very cool friend who was like into like really cool stuff. And he would always like, you sort of put these really cool things on my plate. And The Boys was one of them. Like before the Amazon series ever came on, he would always, by the way, this is my buddy Paco who passed away. He would always be like, hey man, I'm telling you, this show's coming to Prime. You got to watch this show. I don't know if you're familiar with the graphic novels. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but The Boys, it's awesome. And he loved The Boys and he got me into it. And I totally loved The Boys. And then sadly, he passed away. I don't even know if he got to see season 2. I'm not sure about that. But at any rate, yeah, I have a sentimental attachment to The Boys. I love The Boys. Jeff says, you said you were going to watch it with your son, so I watched the first episode with my 14-year-old daughter. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a daughter thing? I don't know, Jeff. I mean, I applaud you. I applaud you for, spending time with the little girl. But I don't know. Maybe you guys ought to like pull up some Eloise, or I don't know what a 14-year-old girl is into. I don't think it's a girl thing. Although Starlight is probably a good role model for a young girl. I guess she's one of the characters in The Boys. Queen Maeve is another one of the characters in The Boys. Queen. Me and my son both. We like the Queen Maeve. We're like, we like Queen Maeve. Anyway, yeah. So The Boys is great. There's another. What is it that Umbrella Academy? The Umbrella Academy season 3 or maybe season 4. I don't know. That is posted now on. Is it Netflix or Amazon Prime? I don't know. I can't keep all these platforms straight. So I started to watch the latest episodes of Umbrella Academy last night, which is another show that I really like. That's a really cool show. So I started to watch Umbrella Academy, and I realized it has been so long, I don't really know where we are in the timeline of this show. So after watching like the first 20 minutes of the most recent episode 1 of the new season, I went, nope, got to go all the way back to the beginning. So I have restarted all the way back into the beginning of Umbrella Academy. So that's what I'm watching. Well, oh, you know what? There's something on Hulu today. You know what? Maybe can I show this? Maybe we'll show this. We'll check this out. I was reading a story about this last week, and I'll explain this to you. This is a new show on Hulu. I guess it's on Hulu. Okay. All right, yeah, let's see. All right. There we go. Well, we can watch this trailer together. Because this is what I'm going to start watching tonight. So this is a new show. I believe it's posted on Hulu. I don't know if it's... I'm hoping that it's like a full season. It's probably not, though. It's probably just going to be one episode at a time. If any of you guys like Shameless, remember the show Shameless? One of the stars of Shameless, what's his name? It's a 3-person name. It's like John Philip Johnson or something, whatever. The guy who played Lip, Lip Gallagher, Philip Gallagher, Lip, one of like the main and most interesting and my favorite character on Shameless. Lip has a new show on FX, and it I guess it's on Hulu today. I was reading a thing about it last week about how it's supposed to be coming to Hulu. But here's the deal. Here's why I personally am very excited about this. It is a show. They are saying that this show, if this show becomes a hit, it is going to do something that that has never been done before, and that is, it is going to expand the reach of the Chicago Italian beef sandwich like it has never been before. It is a show on FX starring Lip, who is actually it's being compared. It's like Uncut Gems. It's like he's let's just watch it anyway. They're saying that this show is going to suddenly, if this show becomes a hit, you're going to be able to buy an Italian beef sandwich in Nebraska, is basically what this story was about. Because people are going to see these sandwiches in this show and they're going to be like, holy shit, why don't we have these in Waco? There it is. Here's the new show.
25 pounds?
No, I ordered 200.
Where is beef?
You still got that meat connect? You get $12.50 for that on eBay.
Oh.
You cut vegetables like a bitch.
Not system. System, baby.
System. This is your brother's house. I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't you leave it to you then? Don't wipe your hands on your apron, chef.
Jeff.
I refer to everybody as chef because it's a sign of respect.
You could throw down, huh?
So how you gonna pass the family test? Delicious or impressive?
Delicious is impressive.
Word.
Yo, family's up.
I just never had plátanos with like grass on it.
We want to change this restaurant, right? But we have to change the chemistry.
Why are you always like watching me?
Because it's just sort of my job.
Where the chili flakes? Cousin organizes, it's more confusing.
Right there. Labeled chili flakes.
This is a delicate ecosystem, and it's held together by a shared history and love.
I have every intention of turning this into a respectable place of business. Eventually.
Time to try the new sandwiches.
Yo, this shit looks different.
What do you think?
It's redundant and white, just like you.
Okay, so all episodes are streaming. All right, so we get the full push on it. But yeah, it's a story. It's a show about a dude who runs an Italian beef stand. And they're saying if this show takes off, people across the country are finally going to be like, yeah, that sandwich looks pretty good. Maybe, which would be great for me because as it currently stands, I have to either drive all the way out to Weinberger's Deli in Grapevine to get a beef sandwich, or I now have to go all the way up to El Dorado Parkway and Coit, or is it Custer? Might be Custer. I'm not sure. Anyway, all the way up there to get a beef sandwich because we are still waiting on Portillo's to open, which Portillo's is not going to open until, I don't know, fall, something like that. But man, I really want an Italian beef sandwich. And I know that if I start to watch that show tonight, I'm going to really need a beef sandwich. So, cause just, I don't know what to tell you. All right, so that's what I'm watching. I'm watching Umbrella Academy. I'm going to be watching The Bear, and yes, I am back on to watching The Boys. So there you go. That's all the stuff that we need to. And now back into the closing theme. Jeff, oh yeah, Jeff. Jeff Ballard talking about watching The Boys with his 14-year-old daughter. You know what? I guess I don't think about this because I don't have a daughter. The scene in the early episodes of The Boys where Fishman, I don't know what's he called, Aquaman, not Aquaman, but he's like the Deep is the character. So when the Deep meets Starlight for the first time, he basically Harvey Weinsteins her, right? I guess I would be uncomfortable with that if I was watching it with my 14-year-old daughter. So good on you. I didn't really think about it that way with my 13-year-old son, though. I found it a teaching moment. You don't do that shit. You know who does that? Criminals. Pieces of shit. Keep it in your pants, dude. But I wouldn't know how to flip that for a 14-year-old girl if I was watching it. Other than, Jeff, I hope you told her to just kick him in the nuts. That's it. That's why it's probably good that I don't have a daughter, because that would be my advice for everything. Kick him in the nuts. Just kick. Do not be afraid. Kick him in the nuts. I'm thinking maybe this is just all adrenaline, because now that I'm winding down from today's stream, I'm starting to feel a little bit like I want to climb into bed, but I got stuff I got to do. I hate feeling under the weather. All right, bye, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock for Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. And then if you can't make that, rally back tomorrow, Friday. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's like 60-40 that there's going to be a show tomorrow. 60 that there is, 40 that there isn't. I told you guys like a week ago. I said, look, for the next few weeks, we're going to be sort of adjusting the schedule here because of summer hours and because I have new responsibilities, not at the boys and in school. So we may we're certainly not going to stop doing the shows, but some days, what if we were to do this show instead of like noon to 2? What if we were to do it like 1 to 3? Consistency is important. And I really want to get, I don't know, but there may be a situation where I have to pick my kid up tomorrow at like 12:45. So 60-40. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Right now, we're doing a show tomorrow. We're definitely doing a show tonight. 9 o'clock, Pillow Talk. All right, bye, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a great day. I am on a never-ending quest.